Hey, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking more about the QAR and the Dutchman. This is for the Pirate game up at Sherwood Forest in LaPorte, Indiana, April 24th and 25th this year. Okay, so without a whole lot of delay on this, we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the two boats first. Okay, they will look similar to this. They won't look exactly like this, but they will look similar. They will both be piloted by an officer who's going to be carrying pistol and melee weapon. So let's talk about what's similar between the two of them. The boats are independent boats with no home port, and for that reason, they have a different mechanic. So since neither boat has a home port to insert from, the boats are their respawn point for their sailors. So if they're killed by cannon fire while on a boat, well then that crew member has to report back to the boat insertion point at the netted entrances and be picked up there. If you're not aware where they are it's the tank insertion trails that we use for all the regular games. They insert the boat, if sunk, has to insert from that point. Anybody killed by cannon fire has to be picked up at that point. Okay. If the boat is not on the field, then neither are the crews. Very important. If the boat's not on the field, the crews aren't on the field. We'll get into this a little more. If the boat is not on the field, then neither are the crews. If the boat is sunk, all of the crew not on board the boats must immediately sock their markers and leave the field with the boat. Hit points are based the same as all other boats. The QAR and the Dutchman, if sunk, must reinsert at their designated boat spawn. Both the QAR and the Dutchman are capable of fielding 15 cannons on the rope. Hit points pertain to only the amount of people that are physically attached to a rope. In other words, 3 on a rope equals 3 hit points for the boat before it's sunk. 1 on a rope, 1 hit point, and the boat is sunk. 15 on a rope, 15 hit points. So you get the idea. Now, off-board crewmen for the Dutchman, they can only go 50 feet away from the boat. They can't go any further than that. They're still considered attached to the boat, but they're prone to marker hits, just like everybody else. Then when they get hit, they got to run back, touch the Dutchman, and they come right back in because that's their respawn point for combat. Okay. Now for the QAR, because they're alive and a land-based crew, they can be up to 150 feet away from the boat. Now, if you want to think about it in yards, that's like 30 yards. So it's not a great big huge distance, but they can be off the boat. They can gauge other regular players. If they're hit, QAR, if those players are engaging and hit, they need only to go back and touch their boat to get back in the game and continue to fight off the boat. Now, I don't think there should be any questions about this, but if there are, we'll address them at the end when we have our actual meeting. Let me talk about the Dutchman's special powers. Dutchman has the power of teleportation. If the Dutchman is leaving the field alive, it can teleport back onto the field through the main field entrance. If alive and on the field, he may teleport to any tape line unaccosted, invisible. He may re-enter from the tape line he touches. Now, to use this ability, he shouts neutral repeatedly as he moves towards his destination. Upon touching the boundary, he can immediately go live by breaking contact, or he can stay in contact with the boundary and continue to say neutral. Only when he breaks contact with the boundary is he a live player again. You may not follow nor speak to the Dutchman. You can't radio about his position or anything. You can't see him when he's teleporting. Now, the Dutchman also has control of a very fearsome beast called the Kraken. The Kraken can be invoked if a vessel is within plain line of sight from the Dutchman. The Dutchman will have a Kraken coin, which is shown to a ref, and the ship is pointed out. Ref has the targeted ship stopped to await the Dutchman's arrival. Depending on the crew's attitude on the captured boat, the Dutchman can have the Kraken sink them right there and loot the ship, or he can make a challenge to any of the crew people on board the boat. That means people physically in contact with the boat. Any of the 6. You may not deny a challenge from the Dutchman, nor can you sink the Dutchman while in the Kraken's grip. You may negotiate terms, the method of combat, whether it be pistols or whether it be swords. Swords is preferred. And it's a winner-take-all thing. If the Dutchman wins, your champion just lost their soul and their armaments. So if they were using a law on your boat, that law goes with them to the Dutchman. You win against the Dutchman, you get to sail free from it. Now, if there's any questions on that, we'll talk about that later. Officers and their abilities. Now, only officers can carry melee weapons. We've already talked about this. Sword and a pistol. You have to have them both displayed to be neutral to the players, but not to other officers. You're never neutral from another officer. Okay, whether you have sword and pistol out or not, if you're out there in your officer's coat and you're playing with your autococker and another guy from the other team is playing with his autococker, he can shoot you dead. Just like the rest of the players on the field, they can shoot you dead. Only if you have a sword and a pistol in your hand are you neutral to those players. They can't shoot you. You can still shoot them. And that's going to be explained to them. So they know if they see you with a sword and a pistol, they're going to get out of your way. And pretty much you're going to have to fight the one that comes at you, which is going to be another officer. So, some of the changes that we talked about, and this kind of comes off of Alan's post that he made. Okay. The lookout is going to stay the same as what Alan had posted up. Okay. The navigator is going to stay the same as it went up. The deckhand is going to change. Okay. This is a non-officer player, but you need to know this. You may participate in ship actions while on board your ship of your faction, and you may use approved launchers, period. No melee weapons. If you're not an officer, you don't get a melee weapon. You can embark on any anchored ship. You may not shoot paintballs while on board the ship. You may not fire paintballs until you have moved away more than 10 meters after disembarking and cannot use ships as bunkers. So that's what the deckhand's going to read. We took out use of melee weapons and the ability to challenge other sailors. That's not there. It's all between the officers. There's 3 of you on each boat. You ought to be able to have some fun with it. Now, the captain, the only thing that we changed in the captain's rules was that the captain can only be eliminated through attacks by another officer, whether it be with melee weapons or whether it be with paintball guns. You know, that's the only way they can be taken out, if they're brandishing sword and pistol. They can only be taken out by another officer, but sword and pistol. Outside of that, you know, it's the standard, just what Alan had written, with armed with a pistol and a melee weapon. They cannot be shot with a paintball. They can only be eliminated by melee style attacks from another officer. No shooting cannonballs at these guys. So that pretty much explains what the officers can do. You guys should already have an idea about the navigators. If you have any questions, I'll answer that. If you have any questions about the lookouts, I'll answer that. Let's talk about the amp guard rules that we're going to use for combat this year. In the LARP sword fights, captain on captain, you know, navigator on captain, whatever it is, only LARP approved weapons can be used. No homemade stuff. You cannot target a person's head with your LARP weapon. The head and the neck are off limits. If it's an intentional thing, we're going to take that on a case-by-case basis. And it's not going to be pretty. If it's accidental, you're expected to step back, make sure the other guy's okay. Can you continue on? You can't continue on. Okay, well, that's cool. This never happened. If you can continue on, let's have at it. So, how do you kill a person? 2 hits on any of the 4 limbs, even 2 hits on the same limb. So, right arm and right leg, you're eliminated. Right leg and left leg, you're eliminated. Both arms, you're eliminated. 2 hits on one leg, you're eliminated. 2 hits to any of the outside apertures. 1 solid hit, and I mean solid. I want to hear it up in the staging area where I'm going to be. I want to hear it from there. We're just not going to play the dance around thing this year. 1 body shot, good and hard. That's a kill. We'll have to edit that out. So a solid body shot, just 1, is a kill. Now, the body consists of from the hips to the shoulders. The arms are from the shoulders to the wrist, and the legs are from above the knee to the hip, not the knee. Above the knee to the hip. It's only a foam sword, but knee pads, even the soft ones, might not be a bad idea. It's up to you. I played in SCA. That shit hurt. Stabs. None of this. Oh, I got you. No, a stab must be hard enough and accurate enough to stop on its intended target. So you can't go for a stab and graze across their chest and say, I got you with a stab. No, that don't count. Slashings don't count. Drawing your knife across something doesn't count. This is combat, okay? A strike has to be hard enough that can be heard. If you're unsure if the hit counts or not, then the first thing you should be thinking is, it counts. Just put any ego aside. It counts. That's it. Now, one more time. No slashing, grazing blows, or fairy-ass tap dancing to sneak in a weak-ass stab. Hit that motherfucker like you mean it. It's only a damn foam sword. You guys wanted to be pirates? Swing like pirates. And that's it for the Amp Guard rules. Now, you've heard it. You have a chance to digest it now. We're coming back live, and we'll talk about this. I'll answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching. See y'all soon.
Safe and sound at home again, let the waters roar, Jack. Safe and sound at home again, let the waters roar, Jack. Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmate, rolly, 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 rolly,